The power of the world was even stronger than that of time and space. Even Su Jingxing's two tribulation overlord's spiritual martial arts body could not withstand this force. Only by continuing to transcend the void lightning tribulation and becoming a three tribulation overlord could he be immune. Aren't the strongest existences on the continent of divine grace the three demon kings? Why was a seventh realm demon emperor here? Su Jingxing's blood doppelganger gradually calmed down and pondered over the key question. Clearly, the information obtained through the memory card and his interrogation was not complete enough. The seventh realm demon emperor who destroyed Su Jingxing's primordial spirit with a shot of power of the world was also on the continent of divine grace. However, this fellow had been hiding behind the scenes the entire time. Seeing that the demonic artifact was about to be destroyed, it suddenly attacked and killed Su Jingxing's primordial spirit. Even though the cosmic tower would revive him in the next second after his death, the blood doppelganger still felt lingering fear. The power of the world fused with the power of the law of life and death was too powerful. It could alternate between life and death at will. However, during this process of dying, Su Jingxing's blood doppelganger actually gained some enlightenment. The law of death. No, it should be the Tao sentiment and insight of death. Such Tao sentiment and insight could only be comprehended by those who had died once and had powerful soul power. Especially when Su Jingxing relied on the cosmic tower. 1 second ago, he died, and the next second, he was revived. The change between life and death brought about even stronger comprehension. If he could follow this thread of comprehension and go deep into it, he would definitely have a chance to comprehend the law of life and death. As soon as this thought appeared, the blood doppelganger shuddered. Yes, the law of life and death. The comprehension between life and death was filled with endless possibilities and was incomparably profound. This time, he died too quickly and did not get a deep comprehension. If he died a few more times, he would definitely have a chance to comprehend the law of life and death. At this thought, Su Jingxing's blood doppelganger calmed itself down and called for Ming. Ming, reconstruct the primordial spirit. Yes, master. Ming's figure flashed and disappeared again. In the 5th level, a large number of light spots suddenly appeared. These light spots first scattered everywhere, then slowly gathered together, forming a human outline. Finally, they formed a new human body. An existence with a pure energy soul, the primordial spirit. Su Jingxing's primordial spirit was successfully condensed and regenerated. Moreover, it had retained its cultivation from before. It was still in the 3rd class of the soul platform realm. Ming, how much energy did indestructibility consume this time? Su Jingxing's primordial spirit sensed its new body and asked. Su Jingxing's blood doppelganger shrank into a mass and floated in midair. Otherwise, it would feel strange for two Su Jingxings to be together. Master, each resurrection consumes about 1 heavenly Tao crystal, Ming replied respectfully. Only 1 heavenly Tao crystal. That's not much. Su Jingxing's primordial spirit was overjoyed. Not bad, not bad. At this rate, it'll be enough for me to be revived 10 times. He still had several heavenly Tao crystals in reserve. With the cosmic tower's indestructibility, the 7th realm demon emperor could not kill him for the time being. On the other hand, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit could go to the continent of divine grace again to kill the Saijin demons and extract the black body card. The cosmic tower had already memorized the coordinates of the world he had been to once. With instant space activated, he could teleport over quickly. Only activating instant space also required heavenly Tao crystals. Therefore, he could go to the continent of divine grace, but he had to stay low to prevent being captured and killed by the 7th realm demon emperor again before he even killed any Saijin demons. Su Jingxing's primordial spirit still wanted to comprehend the law of life and death. It didn't want to really die. That's right. As long as Su Jingxing's primordial spirit comprehended the law of life and death, the seventh realm demon emperor would not be able to kill him with one shot of the power of the world. The transformation between life and death was one of the mysteries of the law of life and death. Speaking of which, the law of life and death was also subdivided into the law of life and the law of death. These two laws were both opposing and attractive to each other. Conquer death and there will be life, the end of life was death. If one had comprehended the law of life or the law of death, it would be much simpler to comprehend the law of life and death through the extreme evolution of the power of laws. The problem was that the law of life and the law of death were equally difficult to comprehend. Needless to say, even if he really died, he might not necessarily comprehend the law of death. On the other hand, under the stimulation of boundless vitality, he might be able to gain a trace of insight into the law of life. Wait. Suddenly, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit trembled as it recalled its previous operation. Boundless vitality and massive amounts of life energy. Sky imprisonment card. To be precise, it was the huge insect trapped in the sky imprisonment card. Back then, in the underground space of the Kantian world, when Su Jingxing saw this 10,000-meter-long giant insect, he had wanted to absorb the boundless energy in it. Now that he thought about it, this energy was most likely life energy. At that time, there were countless other giant insects lying on it to absorb energy to replenish themselves. Su Jingxing, a pure human, also wanted to absorb it. The reason was that this huge insect contained a massive amount of life energy. Pure life energy could naturally be absorbed by any intelligent life form. However, different intelligent lifeforms clearly had differing structures for their respective physiques. If Su Jingxing really ignored everything and directly absorbed the energy in the giant insect's body, it would cause an unknown mutation in his body. This was also the reason why he forcefully suppressed himself even though he was clearly tempted back then. In short, the life energy in the body of the giant insect in the sky imprisonment card could be absorbed, but it had to be refined and extracted to remove the determinants of the giant insect before he could absorb it. However, what if he did not absorb the energy in the giant insect's body but sensed the law of life through this energy? The primordial spirit's eyes lit up. After dying once, he had touched a trace of the mysteries of the law of life and death. If he could comprehend the law of life now, even the Tao sentiment of life would be greatly helpful in comprehending the law of life and death. At this thought, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit took out the sky imprisonment card and released the sealed giant insect. As soon as this 10,000-meter-long giant insect reappeared, it almost filled up the 5th level. Fortunately, while there was a limit to the length and width of each level of the cosmic tower, there were no restrictions to the height. Ming immediately raised the height of the 5th level to increase the space. The giant insect lay on the ground, sinking. Its huge body covered the entire ground. Then, suppressed by the power of the cosmic tower, it could not move and could only let out weak cries. Ming, don't kill it. Floating in midair, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit instructed, just cut off a corner of it. Understood, Ming replied. It released an invisible attack and pierced a small hole in the giant insect's body. In an instant, dense vitality spread out in the 5th level. Su Jingxing's primordial spirit immediately closed its eyes and guided the trace of comprehension of life and death it had grasped to connect to these auras. The moment it successfully built a connection, a bang erupted in the primordial spirit's mind. The feeling was indescribable. It was as if it had returned to its infancy, when it was just born. No, when it first formed a complete fetus. That was the beginning of life, the source of everything. Su Jingxing's primordial spirit couldn't help but be deeply immersed in it. After a long time, it slowly regained consciousness and closed its eyes to feel the palpitation. It had touched it. Using the Tao sentiment of life and death to connect to the boundless vitality, it obtained a powerful harvest the moment it touched it. Using life as a feedback to death, then fusing death into life to form the Tao sentiment of life and death. Finally, it would transform into the law of life and death. Therefore, he had to die. Suicide probably wouldn't work. Even if he did kill himself, he might not gain any insights. Only by being killed would one gain enlightenment of life and death. With this in mind, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit instructed Ming to guard the giant insect while it quickly left the 5th level and entered the 4th level. It activated instant space and teleported back to the continent of divine grace. Although it was here to die, it continued with its objective of killing the Saijin demons and extracting the black body card. Continent of divine grace. In a dark cave in a mountain not far from the mountain where the two-world gate was located. Whoosh! Space suddenly distorted. Then, it turned into a vortex. As the vortex spun, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit rushed out at lightning speed and stopped in front of the stone wall. You're human. Su Jingxing's primordial spirit turned its head and looked at the 3 people more than 10 meters to the right. The cave was dark, and only a few crystals emitted light. The 3 of them were sitting casually on the ground, staring at Su Jingxing's primordial spirit with wide eyes. The person who spoke was a woman with curly hair. She was about 30 years old and looked at Su Jingxing's primordial spirit with bewildered eyes. "You're also a human, right?" the woman asked again. She used pure human language. "I am human." Su Jingxing's primordial spirit scanned the 3 of them and asked coolly, "Are you hiding from the demons?" "Yes and no." Beside the woman, a middle-aged man with a pale face opened his eyes wide and stared fixedly at Su Jingxing's primordial spirit. He shouted in a low voice, "We're hiding here to leave the continent of divine grace mainland. We want to use the legendary passageway." Swoosh! Surprise flashed through the primordial spirit's eyes. The two-world gate. The middle-aged man was undoubtedly referring to the two-world gate. It turned out that the two-world gate that connected to Earth Star on the continent of divine grace had also become a legend. The legendary passageway is not far from here. The last old man with a beard said in a hoarse voice, "But that place has been occupied by the demons." The passageway opened and the demons invaded another world. Are you from that world?" asked the woman hopefully. "You can tell." Su Jingxing's primordial spirit chuckled. "Really? That's great. Because the aura on your body faintly repels that of our world." The middle-aged man and the old man cheered with the woman and answered. "I see." Su Jingxing's primordial spirit was enlightened. "Well." Suppressing her excitement, the woman stopped cheering and looked at Su Jingxing's primordial spirit with a hopeful gaze again. "See, can you bring us with you?" After a pause, the woman continued, "I have a way to destroy the passageway that connects to your world. As long as you bring us away, you can immediately destroy the passageway and stop the demons from invading your world." "It's too late." Su Jingxing's primordial spirit shook its head. "What do you mean?" The woman was stunned. The middle-aged man and the old man also frowned. "My friend, are you unwilling or reluctant?" asked the middle-aged man softly. "What's the difference between the two?" Su Jingxing's primordial spirit chuckled. "I said it's too late because the passageway has already closed. As for bringing you guys away from here, it's not impossible, but not now. It wasn't easy for me to come here again. I came with a mission. I'll only return after I complete it." "What mission?" the middle-aged man blurted out. As soon as he finished speaking, he said awkwardly, "I'm sorry, I don't have any other thoughts. If possible, we're willing to help you with it so you can complete it as soon as possible." Yes. The woman nodded hurriedly. "The sooner you complete the mission, the sooner you can leave. That's what we meant." "Hunt the demons," Su Jingxing's primordial spirit replied. The woman was stunned. The middle-aged man and the old man were also dumbfounded. "You mean, hunt and kill the demons?" The woman came back to her senses and asked in shock. "Yes." Su Jingxing's primordial spirit nodded frankly. I came here to hunt the demons. The more I can kill, the better. Therefore, you guys should stay here and wait for me to return. With that, it moved to leave when it thought of something and asked, by the way, do you know where the nearest demon gathering point is? There's a camp 30 miles southeast, the woman replied subconsciously. Thank you. The primordial spirit nodded. Then, the primordial spirit's body turned illusory, passed through the wall and left the cave. The trio saw this and opened their mouths to stop him, but held back. Is he telling the truth? The woman looked puzzled. Most probably. The middle-aged man sighed. Hunt and kill demons? The old man pondered. Are the people in that world all so brave? I admire his courage, but he's only in the soul platform realm. How many demons can he kill? The middle-aged man's eyes flashed. Well, the woman paused and murmured, since he dared to come, he must be confident. I hope so. The old man sighed. Silence resumed in the cave. Outside the mountain. Su Jingxing's primordial spirit used an invisibility card on its body. In an invisible state, it headed southeast. With a seventh realm demon emperor guarding the continent of divine grace, the slightest commotion would attract attention. Therefore, the primordial spirit had to carry out the hunt in secret. The distance of 30 miles was covered in the blink of an eye. Hiding halfway up the mountain, he looked at a small city at the foot of the mountain. Above the city, wisps of demonic energy lingered. Clearly, the woman was not lying. Immediately, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit maintained its invisibility and headed straight for the foot of the mountain, entering the city. It did not take action immediately. Su Jingxing's primordial spirit first observed the routes in the city to confirm the distribution of the Saijin demons. After that, it began to wait for nightfall. Only the dark environment was conducive to attack. It was already late afternoon anyway. Before long, the sky turned dark. After a while, the night became even darker. Only then did Su Jingxing's primordial spirit leave the darkness, approach and target a group of demon soldiers. There were no humans in this small city. Only the Saijin demons were active. Therefore, there won't be any accidental killing. Whoosh! 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 Dao weapon-throwing daggers tore through the air. With sharp sounds, they struck 4 patrolling first-realm demon soldiers, piercing through their throats and killing them on the spot. Card +4. Su Jingxing's primordial spirit flashed and moved the corpses to a corner. Then, they continued to move. Swish! 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 The sound of rapid wind was heard. Card +5. Swish! Swish! Card +7. Step by step. Starting from the chosen location, he killed his way over step by step. The entire process was silent. Soon, more than 300 Saijin demons died in the hands of Su Jingxing's primordial spirit. These 300 demons were all in the first realm. After all, the second realm demons were slightly stronger. To be safe, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit did not want to alert the enemy so early. The exploration during the day was for this moment. It had to take care of all the first realm demon soldiers first. The plan went very smoothly, almost proceeding perfectly according to the steps that Su Jingxing's primordial spirit had worked out. Before long, more than 500 first realm demon soldiers had died. 800. 1,000. There were about 3,000 demon soldiers in this small city. In less than half an hour, a third of them were dead. With so many first realm demon soldiers silently going missing, the other second realm and third realm demon generals finally realized that something was wrong and began a search. Su Jingxing's primordial spirit had been watching their movements. Seeing this, it did not stop and continued to hunt. However, it was prepared. Therefore, when it was hunting another group of 10 demon soldiers, it bumped into a third-realm demon general who had rushed over. Human. When the third-realm demon general saw Su Jingxing's primordial spirit, it shouted in shock and anger, "You were the one who..." Boom! A loud bang sounded in the air. A giant palm imprint suddenly condensed and descended, striking the third-realm demon general. Firmament Nirvana Palm. Pada. Thump. Accompanied by a dull thud, the third-realm demon general's entire body was slapped into the ground and sank into a pit. Its body split into pieces and blood flowed everywhere. Even so, the third-realm demon general was not dead. Its physical body seemed to be even stronger than that of the Saijin demon that Su Jingxing's primordial spirit had killed previously. You. Swoosh. The saber beam flashed across. Plkch. Blood spurted out as the third-realm demon general's neck and head were separated. Card +1. Swoosh. After extracting the card, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit immediately retreated. The fact that it was recognized meant that the invisibility effect on it had worn off. Every invisibility card had a different duration. Some were long, some were short. Su Jingxing's primordial spirit only wanted to carry on in secret and did not want a big battle with the Saijin demons. Even if it was against second realm and third realm demon generals. Therefore, before the other Saijin demons rushed over, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit decisively took out another invisibility card and unlocked it. It applied it to its body and flew out of the city. As it flew, it took out the red dragon reverse scale to conceal its aura. The red dragon reverse scale was effective even against a 7th realm demon. The last time Su Jingxing's primordial spirit was killed by the demon emperor in one strike because it did not expect the other party to be present and did not conceal its aura with the red dragon reverse scale. This time, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit would not make the same mistake again. If it really had to die again, it would have to hunt and kill enough of the Saijin demons. That's right, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit had never thought that the red dragon reverse scale would always conceal its aura so that it wouldn't be found by the demon emperor. That was a 7th realm demon emperor, a powerful existence wielding the power of the world. Who knew what special abilities it would have? Currently, the entire continent of divine grace was within the range of the 7th realm demon emperor's will. With the help of the red dragon reverse scale, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit believed that it could hide for a while, but not forever. What it wanted was to kill as many Saijin demons as possible before the 7th realm demon emperor discovered it. Swish. 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 It left the small city at its fastest speed and flew east. Moments later. Buzz. A terrifying pressure suddenly descended from the sky behind it and swept through the ground. As expected, the 7th realm demon emperor had arrived. As for whether this was its true body, doppelganger, or some other method, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit had no idea. Now that it had escaped, there was no need to worry about being exposed. However, without anyone to give pointers to where the next Saijin demon's camp was, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit had to search for it by itself. Well, it could also be achieved through heavenly secret arts. But at the thought that the 7th realm demon emperors will cover the entire world, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit gave up on divination after some consideration. A 7th realm demon emperor had grasped even the power of the laws, so it would definitely pay attention to any anomalies of the heavenly secrets at all times. It was like a phone call being monitored. If Su Jingxing's primordial spirit really were to divine, the 7th realm demon emperor would have already come knocking on its door before it hung up. The probability of such a thing happening was more than 90%. For this reason, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit might as well take its time to slowly search for them by itself. It flew east at a low altitude. After observing the changes in the surroundings and confirming that there were signs of human activity, it immediately followed the traces and found another city. However, this time, there were no humans or demons in the city. It had been abandoned. Su Jingxing's primordial spirit was not discouraged and continued on its way to search for the Saijin demons' army camps. This time, it flew quickly along the state roads. Soon, it found another city. There were only 100 or so first-realm Saijin demon soldiers in the city. Su Jingxing's primordial spirit immediately killed them all and extracted cards. After that, it set off again to search for the next city. Earth Star. In the Cosmic Tower. Su Jingxing's blood doppelganger transformed into human form and took out the cards from the soul space to read the information. Black body card, black body card, black body card. As expected, most of the cards extracted from the Saijin demons were black body cards. There were also skill cards, soul separation cards, and memory cards among them. It was unknown which Saijin demon soldier it belonged to, but one memory card contained memories of half of its life. Su Jingxing's blood doppelganger decisively unlocked the card and read the other party's memories, trying to find any useful information. In the end, it was all about living and hunting as a demon. It was useless. It had no idea about the distribution of the Saijin demon army on the continent of divine grace. Fortunately, Su Jingxing's blood doppelganger soon found another memory card. This time, it finally discovered the two routes of the demon army through the memories of a second-realm demon general. Continent of Divine Grace. Su Jingxing's primordial spirit memorized both routes. Then, according to its current location, it immediately figured out the directions, turned around and flew towards a camp on the map. After arriving at its destination, it discovered that more than 50,000 Saijin demons were gathered in a large city. Su Jingxing's primordial spirit was overjoyed. It took out an invisibility card and applied it to its body again to extend the duration of its invisibility. Then, under the cover of the Red Dragon reverse scale, it entered the city and began hunting. Card plus 45. Card plus 126. From one corner to another. Su Jingxing's primordial spirit focused on hunting first-realm Saijin demon soldiers without making any unnecessary noise. As he killed his way through, the cards continued to accumulate. Soon, there were more than 3,000 of them. Swish. 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 Thump. 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 One after another, the corpses of the Saijin demons were piled up in dark rooms or caves. Just as Su Jingxing's primordial spirit killed more than 10,000 first-realm Saijin demons. Buzz. Buzz. A terrifying pressure suddenly descended from the sky. The seventh-realm demon emperor had discovered it. It was unknown if it was the sheer number of dead Saijin demon that had alerted the demon emperor. In short, the frightening pressure covered the entire city, and Su Jingxing's primordial spirit had no choice but to stop moving. I know you're here. A dull voice exploded in the air like thunder. You can't escape. The seventh-realm demon emperor continued. It spoke in human language. Does this fellow know of my existence? Su Jingxing's primordial spirit was surprised. Previously, it had been killed by a seventh-realm demon emperor. Logically speaking, the seventh-realm demon emperor should not know that it had returned. Yes, the seventh-realm demon emperor didn't know. Su Jingxing's primordial spirit was certain. Although the seventh-realm demon emperor was speaking to Su Jingxing's primordial spirit, in the eyes of the demon emperor, this was someone else. A native human expert of the continent of divine grace. At this thought, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit heaved a sigh of relief. But the next second. Swish. A ray of black light suddenly descended from the sky, tore through the air, and struck Su Jingxing's primordial spirit. Su Jingxing's primordial spirit, which had just sensed the abnormality, was crushed once more. It shattered like glass, disintegrated, and disappeared completely. It died again. It returned to Earth Star first and reconstructed the primordial spirit. Then, arrived at the continent of divine grace again through instant space. What Su Jingxing's primordial spirit did not expect was that the exit it came through the second time was the same cave from before. You're back again. The curly-haired woman looked at Su Jingxing's primordial spirit and asked curiously. Sorry to disturb you. Su Jingxing's primordial spirit nodded indifferently. Continue to stay here and wait for my notification. All right. The curly-haired woman nodded in shock. Su Jingxing's primordial spirit took another look at the pale middle-aged man and the bearded old man. It then turned illusory, passed through the wall and left the cave. Did he return to his world again? After a moment of silence, the curly-haired woman couldn't help but ask, didn't the passageway close? How did he return and how did he come here? Traveling between worlds doesn't have to rely on the passageway between two worlds. The bearded old man said softly, in ancient legends, some powerful treasures can also allow people to shuttle through space and time and cross worlds. Are you saying that this person has such a treasure on him? The curly-haired woman's eyes were wide with shock. What else? The bearded old man shrugged. Given his realm, it's impossible for him to shuttle between the two worlds. The passageway has closed, but he can freely shuttle between the two worlds. What does he rely on? The curly-haired woman was silent. The middle-aged man was also silent. That's right, without relying on a powerful realm, one could only rely on external objects to shuttle between two worlds. With such a treasure in hand, it was no wonder that the other party was so confident. Correspondingly, they finally had a chance to leave the continent of divine grace now. Su Jingxing's primordial spirit didn't know what the trio was talking about. In any case, it was nothing more than guessing his background and abilities. It had already been exposed once. It no longer mattered if it happened again. After all, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit did not know that the instant space ability of the cosmic tower was constantly connected to the cave where the curly-haired woman and company were hiding. Whether it was a coincidence or targeting the coordinates, it did not affect the movements of Su Jingxing's primordial spirit. After leaving the cave, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit changed directions and searched for the Sajin demons' camps. The invisibility card and the red dragon reverse scale were naturally carried with it. In order to travel fast, it even used a wind control card to float and fly with the wind. After finding a military camp, it was in no hurry to take action. Instead, it observed the situation in case of falling into an ambush. It had just done the same thing in another city and it was likely that the news had already spread among the Saijin demons, causing them to be more vigilant and set up traps. There were limited heavenly Tao crystals, and Su Jingxing's primordial spirit could not use indestructibility and instant space indefinitely. For this, it had to be cautious where needed. Fortunately, it had accumulated enough invisibility cards to maintain its invisibility. After some inspection, it concluded that there were no traps. There weren't many Saijin demons, but no matter how small a mosquito was, it was still flesh. Su Jingxing's primordial spirit immediately attacked them one by one and extracted cards. Once it was done, he continued on its way to search for the next camp. If too many Saijin demons died together, the seventh realm demon emperors would sense it. Su Jingxing's primordial spirit did not want to die so quickly, so it naturally gave up on the big cities and only looked for the small-scale gathering points. It attacked one place after another and kept extracting cards. Soon, there were more than 20,000 black body cards. It continued to find small groups of demon soldiers to hunt and accumulated more than 30,000 black body cards. Su Jingxing's blood doppelganger on Earth Star had been reading the information of the cards extracted and sorting them out. The black body cards, skill cards and memory cards were separated and sorted. It was through these memory cards that Su Jingxing's primordial spirit could easily find the small batches of Saijin demons on the continent of divine grace. They were scattered everywhere. Without the guidance of the memory cards, it would take an unknown amount of time for Su Jingxing's primordial spirit to find them. As such, the number of black body cards surged towards 40,000. However, at this moment, a ray of black light descended from the sky and struck Su Jingxing's primordial spirit. The seventh realm demon emperor had discovered it again. The power of the world killed Su Jingxing's primordial spirit once more. Birth Star. On the fifth level of the cosmic tower. Su Jingxing's blood doppelganger panted, calming its breathing and relaxing its mind. After a while, it then left the state of death again. After reconstructing the primordial spirit, the blood doppelganger curled up into a ball. Su Jingxing's primordial spirit looked at the giant insect below and guided the comprehension of life and death to connect to the boundless vitality in the giant insect's body and comprehended the Tao sentiment of life and death before delving into the law of life and death. Only, it was not enough. Still not enough. After another round of comprehension, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit realized that dying 3 times was still not enough. One more death would be more likely. There were still many heavenly Tao crystals left. Su Jingxing's primordial spirit decisively left the 5th level and moved to the 4th level. It activated instant space and returned to the continent of divine grace. Swoosh! In the cave, the air became distorted. As the vortex spun, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit walked out. "Hey, you're back again." The curly-haired woman raised her hand and shouted when she saw Su Jingxing's essence soul appear again. "Yes, it's not over yet." Su Jingxing's primordial spirit said calmly, "Continue to wait. It's fine." The curly-haired woman smiled gently. "We're not in a hurry. Take your time. You can come to us when you're done." "All right." Su Jingxing's primordial spirit nodded and looked at the pale middle-aged man and the bearded old man. It turned illusory and left again. Tisk, as expected of a powerful treasure that allows one to shuttle between worlds. "It's just as convenient and simple as visiting the back garden," the middle-aged man sighed. "That's right," agreed the curly-haired woman. She said softly, "I wonder what he's doing here." "Be careful with your words." The bearded old man glanced at the two of them and said in a hoarse voice, "Since the other party won't say anything, the only thing we can do is shut up and remain silent. With some things, the more you know, the more trouble there will be in the future." The curly-haired woman and the middle-aged man fell silent. Continent of Divine Grace. On a towering mountain peak in the center of the vast and boundless mountain range. A colossal pillar of demonic energy connected the sky and the ground, creating a heavy suppression. Clouds that extended for tens of thousands of meters loomed above the ground. Boom! Boom! Thunder rumbled, and lightning shot out from the endless dark clouds. Under the dark sky, at the top of the mountain peak, a black shadow that was dozens of meters tall occupied the peak. Its frightening suppression was vast and mighty, covering a radius of tens of miles. Suddenly, the black shadow on the peak sneered. A pair of scarlet eyes suddenly appeared on the upper half of the figure wrapped in black demonic energy. The moment they opened, they pierced through space and shot into the void, even towards the horizon. Interesting. The black shadow seemed to mutter and chuckle, letting out a strange tone. "You won't die, will you? Interesting little fellow." Boom! Black clouds rolled, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. At the edge of a valley, Su Jingxing's essence soul remained invisible as it looked down at a Saijin demon's camp below. It was in no hurry to make a move. After another round of running, the number of black body cards finally exceeded 40,000. However, it was also very difficult to find small groups of Saijin demons again. The remaining Saijin demons were all gathered in the big city. There were more than 10,000 of them together. Moreover, each one was more vigilant and nervous than the other. News of Su Jingxing's primordial spirit hunting down small groups of Saijin demons had spread. The remaining Saijin demons naturally did not dare to leave the city again. Left with no choice, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit could only head to the bigger camps. The barracks in the valley before it fit the bill. However, just as Su Jingxing's primordial spirit was about to go down, it suddenly sensed something and looked up at the sky. There you are. At some point, the rolling dark clouds had gathered and formed the appearance of a pair of eyes. They hung under the sky, and scarlet beams of light shot out from their vortex-like eyes. The words were not in the demon language or human language. Instead, they were directly targeted at the brain, mental and soul power. Su Jingxing's primordial spirit received it and understood its meaning, but it did not respond. However, it sighed inwardly. I've been discovered again. The seventh realm demon emperor whose will enveloped the entire world. Silently, it locked onto Su Jingxing's primordial spirit and appeared in the sky. This was not its main body, but a will doppelganger. This will doppelganger directly wrapped around the clouds in the sky. Thunder and lightning transformed into a huge face that looked down at Su Jingxing's primordial spirit. Interesting fellow. Are you from the human race, the spirit race, or the heavenly secret race? I'm your father. Su Jingxing's primordial spirit faced the sky and raised its middle finger. Swish. A ray of black light suddenly descended from the sky and the primordial spirit. In the next moment, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit collapsed and dissipated. Humph. A second before its consciousness disappeared, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit heard a cold snort. Refusing a toast only to drink a forfeit, all humans deserve to die. Earth Star. On the fifth level of the cosmic tower. The blood doppelganger panted heavily, its body trembling non-stop. Master, Ming's eyes twitched as it stood at the side. I'm fine. Su Jingxing's blood doppelganger waved its hand. The blood doppelganger's breathing slowed down. After a while, it regained its composure and said weakly, I'm fine. I'm just a little bloated. After dying again, Su Jingxing's comprehension of death was further deepened. Ming, quickly reconstruct the primordial spirit, urged Su Jingxing's blood doppelganger. Yes, master. Ming disappeared on the spot and produced another primordial spirit body. The moment Su Jingxing's primordial spirit was completed, the blood doppelganger curled up into a mass. Ming, open a hole in the giant insect below and widen the range. Yes, master, Ming replied respectfully. Roar. Roar. The giant insect suddenly roared in pain. Boundless vitality instantly swarmed out and swept upwards, filling the entire space. Buzz. The cosmic tower shook. A terrifying force weighed down it from above, drowning the flipping giant insect and easily suppressing it. Su Jingxing's primordial spirit did not participate. At this moment, he had once again fallen into a state of enlightenment of life and death. He fused it with his boundless vitality and sensed the Tao sentiment of life and death. Through this growing Tao sentiment of life and death, he comprehended the law of life and death. Bang! 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 The primordial spirit body did not have a heart, but Su Jingxing seemed to have heard a heartbeat. This sound resounded in his mind, soul, and heart. In the boundless world, at this moment, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit only heard this sound. Then, slowly, Su Jingxing saw the birth of a life in the dark void, then growth, maturation, decline, and finally death. At the moment of death, new life would suddenly be achieved. Then, it would experience growth again until death. After death, continued rebirth. This process was repeated. Like a movie, it kept circulating in the depths of the primordial spirit's consciousness. Its speed gradually increased from normal. Finally, it was so fast that the evolution of life and death could not be seen clearly. Until his eyes lit up and he came to a realization. The primordial spirit opened its eyes and a streak of the power of a law danced in its palm. The law of life and death. He had successfully comprehended it. Congratulations, Master. Ming smiled and bowed to Su Jingxing. Haha. Su Jingxing's primordial spirit couldn't help but laugh out loud. Following the laws of space and destruction, he comprehended another law. The power of this law was much stronger than the law of space. The law of destruction, on the other hand, seemed vaguely unwilling to give in to the law of life and death. Putting everything else aside, having comprehended the law of life and death, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit would no longer be so easily killed by a seventh realm demon emperor. Su Jingxing now also had the option of using or not using indestructibility on the fifth level. As long as he deepened his comprehension of the law of life and death, his divine consciousness would no longer fear the annihilation of the extreme Yang Dao sentiment once it entered the true sun crystal. This was the moment it was annihilated, it would be regenerated again. The speed of regenerating was even faster than being killed. Under this premise, the destructive power of the true sun crystal would no longer be a problem. Apart from that, the comprehension of the law of life and death seemed to help the study of the origin seed of time as well. Azure Dragon World. On the Five Fingers Mountain. The consciousness of Su Jingxing's main body had fallen into endless time and could not go deep. However, as his primordial spirit comprehended the law of life and death, Su Jingxing's main body suddenly understood what the origin seed of time was. Under the guidance of this sudden aura, Su Jingxing felt as if he had obtained divine help. He broke through all the levels at once and deeply comprehended the origin seed. Finally, he successfully melted the origin seed and grasped the law of time. Boom! The moment he comprehended the law of time, Su Jingxing's main body, primordial spirit, and blood doppelganger shook at the same time. The laws of space, destruction, life and death, and time. The four laws exerted their strength together for no reason, crossing the starry sky and intertwining in the depths of chaos. Soul. Consciousness. Mind. Su Jingxing couldn't put a finger on anything. He only knew that he was unprecedentedly powerful at this time. Even against a seventh realm demon emperor, he seemed to be able to put up a fight. At this moment, the obstruction of the universe would no longer be an obstacle. As long as Su Jingxing wanted to. Ha ha ha. Success, I finally succeeded. A loud voice suddenly sounded in his mind, awakening Su Jingxing's consciousness and returning it to his body. Opening his eyes, Su Jingxing looked up and saw the silver dragon of creation shuttling excitedly around the periphery of the center. Success, I finally succeeded. Boom! Boom! As the silver dragon of creation cheered, purple lightning and thunder appeared in the dark area outside. That's the void. No, it's not the void divine thunder. Su Jingxing was surprised. He stared at the dark void above the center and watched as purple lightning split open the darkness and the layers of barriers. A terrifying force spread from inside out and inwards from outside. Force was exerted internally and externally, wanting to merge together. What's going on? Su Jingxing frowned and retracted his gaze to look at the silver dragon of creation. Don't look at me, young man. The silver dragon of creation seemed to sense something. From afar, it met Su Jingxing's gaze and laughed excitedly. Of course, I should thank you. Because of you, I am finally free. I can leave this place. Ha ha ha. Leave this place. Su Jingxing's heart skipped a beat. Are you saying that the Azure Dragon world is about to shatter? Congratulations, you got it right. The silver dragon of creation admitted directly without keeping him in suspense. This D*Ned cage is finally about to shatter. Ha ha ha. Su Jingxing was shocked. Looking at the purple lightning in the air and sensing the changes in the surrounding aura, the sealing power was indeed constantly loosening. The Azure Dragon world is shattering. Could it be? Su Jingxing's heart skipped a beat and he blurted out, the 5 Fingers Mountain formed by these 5 origin seeds is a seal. To be precise, it's the entrance to the Azure Dragon world. The silver dragon of creation replied excitedly, before old man Aurora died, he specially set it up to target me. In order to trap me, the old fellow transformed the 5 major laws into 5 origin seeds and sealed the door to leave the Azure Dragon world through the power of the origin seeds. Without this exit opening, no one can leave. No. Su Jingxing shook his head. I don't know if we can enter and exit the door of the Azure Dragon world, but the passageway we came in from is still there. As long as we return to the passageway, we can leave this place. Ha ha ha. The silver dragon of creation laughed out loud. The passageway you came through? Was it opened by the Azure Dragon treasure boxes? Yes. Su Jingxing's heart skipped a beat. You know about the Azure Dragon treasure boxes? Of course I do. The silver dragon of creation sneered. Old man Aurora deliberately left them behind and spread the news about them. His goal was very simple. He wanted you fellows to deliver yourselves to his door and add vitality to this empty and dead world. That's right. There's nothing wrong with your ears. Although old man Aurora is dead, even if he's dead, he still wants the world he painstakingly created to be revitalized. He captured me and imprisoned me here for this purpose, to give the world a great fortune. But why would I help him with such a thing? Old man Aurora also knew that I won't listen to him after his death. That's why he left the Azure Dragon treasure boxes behind to deliberately lure you people in. No matter who comes, it will increase the vitality for his world. Disgusting, isn't it? Do you think that old man Aurora is pitifully shameless? Ha, if he wasn't, why would he get you people to come in here? You think you can leave the passageway you opened, but in reality, that's fake. There's no way out. In other words, the passageway you opened only allows for entry and not exit. If I could really leave, do you think I would have waited until now to chat with you? Wait for all of you to refine the origin seeds. Su Jingxing was silent. That's right, this was his mistake. He had never expected such a thing to happen. Of course, the biggest reason was that Su Jingxing was confident that even if his physical body was trapped here, his primordial spirit could still live freely outside. Now that he heard the silver dragon of creation's words, he realized that everything was planned by the Lord of the Azure Dragon world. So, to leave, we have to refine 5 origin seeds? Asked Su Jingxing, regaining his composure. Yes and no. After the silver dragon of creation's excitement subsided, it grinned and said, yes. If all 5 of the origin seeds have been refined, that would naturally be for the best. The Azure Dragon world will soon be completely shattered. I will regain my freedom, and you can leave. No, because as long as any one of the 5 origin seeds is refined, the seal will be shaken and the Chaos Heavenly Thunder will descend. Given the power of the Chaos Heavenly Thunder, as long as it descends, it can completely split open the already shaking Azure Dragon world. Of course, this will take a long time. In other words, the more origin seeds are refined, the faster the Azure Dragon world will shatter. Su Jingxing asked again. Yes. The silver dragon of creation smiled and said, you've seen the power of the Chaos Heavenly Thunder. Even if those fellows from the spirit race can't comprehend and refine the origin seeds, the Azure Dragon world will ultimately split apart and we will regain our freedom. As for the time required till then, I can afford to wait. Even if I have to wait tens of thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years, or millions of years, it's fine. Ha ha ha. Su Jingxing remained silent. The silver dragon of creation could indeed afford to wait, and so could Su Jingxing's physical body. But if he really had to wait here for tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of years, it would be extremely boring. Therefore, if he wanted to leave quickly, he would have to rely on Ziluoy and Qingxia, and the others to comprehend and refine other origin seeds. Su Jingxing had already succeeded, but there was still nothing from them. Among the 4 of them, the one with the highest chance of success rate was Ziluoy and Mingchuan, followed by Ziluoy and Qingxia. As for Nian Gur and Tuahai Quanfu, Su Jingxing wasn't optimistic about their situation. As long as Ziluoyan Qingxia and Ziluoyan Mingchuan succeeded, the time it required for the Azure Dragon world to completely shatter would be greatly reduced. With this in mind, Su Jingxing couldn't help but hope that these two fellows would succeed. The waiting process was torturous. Fortunately, Su Jingxing had comprehended the four major laws. During this period of time, he would study the laws when he had nothing to do. He had to fully comprehend the four major laws and deepen his understanding until he completely grasped them. Comprehension did not mean mastery. The difference between the two was like the difference between heaven and earth. The laws of time and space could also be combined. However, there was no hurry. He could take his time. Time flew by. The Azure Dragon world was affected by the remnant power of laws, and the flow of time differed from the outside world. The Silver Dragon of Creation was waiting, and so was Su Jingxing. After an unknown period of time, the second peak of the Five-Finger Mountain shook with a bang. A beam of light shot into the sky and disappeared into the void. Then, the purple lightning that represented the chaos heavenly lightning became thicker and thicker as the bolts landed. Boom! 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 Destructive lightning tore through the darkness, pierced through the void, and headed straight for the top of Five Fingers Mountain. Ha! Another one succeeded. The Silver Dragon of Creation shouted excitedly as its voice sounded in Su Jingxing's mind. Let's see who the second person to succeed is. Oh, it's actually that little girl. What's her name again? Oh yes, Ziluoyan Qingxia. This little girl's talent is actually better than that old woman's. She succeeded so quickly. Of course, compared to you, she's still inferior. Thank you. Su Jingxing glanced at the Silver Dragon of Creation and at Ziluoyan Qingxia, who was flying over through the air. He sighed with emotion. Handsome one, you've also successfully refined the origin seed. While still in midair, Ziluoyan Qingxia waved at Su Jingxing and shouted excitedly, I succeeded too. This is great. Yeah, that's great. The Silver Dragon of Creation said excitedly, the duration has decreased again. We can leave this useless cage soon. Ha ha ha. Ha. Ziluoyan Qingxia was confused. What do you mean? A cage? The Azure Dragon world is about to shatter. Su Jingxing quickly recounted the relationship between the origin seed and the Azure Dragon world. Ziluoyan Qingxia was shocked. They actually share such a relationship. If not. The Silver Dragon of Creation glanced at her. If Old Man Aurora hadn't restricted me from entering, would I allowed you guys to get such benefits so easily? Ha ha ha, that's true. Ziluoyan Qingxia laughed dryly. Humph. The Silver Dragon of Creation was disdainful. Boom. Above Five Fingers Mountain, the purple lightning and thunder suddenly intensified, the bolts becoming thicker and bigger. They tore through the darkness and descended on the mountaintop. A figure flew up from one of the peaks. It's Ziluoyan Mingchuan. The Silver Dragon of Creation looked further and immediately saw the person. She also succeeded. Good, this is great. We have refined 3 of the 5 origin seeds. Things are only going to move faster now. Boom. 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 Chaos lightning and thunder wrapped around a huge bang as terrifying power continuously struck down. It was precisely because Ziluoyan Mingchuan sensed this threat that she quickly distanced herself from the Five Fingers Mountain as soon as she comprehended the law of life and death. When she arrived beside Qingxia, she heard the Silver Dragon of Creation's words and asked curiously, what's going on? The Azure Dragon world is about to shatter. Ziluoyan Qingxia repeated what Su Jingxing had shared earlier. She gave his blessings. Congratulations on successfully regathering the law of life and death, Grandma. Didn't you also succeed? Ziluoyan Mingchuan tapped Ziluoyan Qingxia with a smile. Then, she looked at Su Jingxing and said with bright eyes, "This human friend must have also successfully refined the origin seed, right?" "Of course." The silver dragon of creation rushed to answer, "He refined the origin seed faster than the two of you. We've waited here for almost 1,000 years, before this little girl appeared as the second person to successfully refine the origin seed." "I see." Ziluoyan Mingchuan looked at Su Jingxing in surprise, her eyes flashing. "Impressive, handsome." Ziluoyan Qingxia looked delighted. "It's just as so." Su Jingxing nodded indifferently as a response. There was nothing to be proud of. The most important thing now was whether Nian Gur and Tuahai Quanfu could also refine the origin seeds. If they succeeded, everyone would be able to leave the Azure Dragon world soon. Unfortunately, Nian Gur and Tuahai Quanfu were restricted by the difficulty of refining the origin seeds. When the Chaos Heavenly Thunder completely split open the Azure Dragon world and the entire world was on the verge of collapsing, they still did not succeed. Boom! Boom! Carrying terrifying power, the Chaos Heavenly Thunder that could destroy everything shuttled through the endless Azure Dragon world. Thick cracks kept appearing and spreading in the Azure Dragon world. The center of the small universe represented by the Five Fingers Mountain was the first to be destroyed, disintegrated, and disappeared. Ha ha ha. The silver dragon of creation's excited laughter spread to the outside world with a loud bang. In the next second, its huge body also burrowed into a crack and regained its freedom. "We'll meet again if fate allows it, handsome." Ziluoyan Qingxia waved at Su Jingxing. Together with Ziluoyan Mingchuan also crawled into a crack and disappeared. As for Nian Gur and Tuahai Quanfu, when the Five Fingers Mountain collapsed and disappeared, they were thrown somewhere along with it. They could have fallen into a void crack or accidentally entered another world. Of course, it was also possible that they were injured and died. The impact of the destruction of the world core was too strong. Su Jingxing immediately distanced himself from the Five Fingers Mountain to avoid being affected. Of course, he did not extract any cards either. If Nian Gur and Tuahai Quanfu were dead. Now that everyone had left, Su Jingxing was also prepared to leave. However, he did not go to the cracks. He did not know where these cracks led to. The void turbulence definitely existed inside them. With Su Jingxing's current strength, while he did not fear the void turbulence, there was really no need to do anything unnecessary. Birth Star. Through Ming, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit activated instant space on the fourth level of the cosmic tower. The teleportation ability was activated again. This time, it successfully connected to where Su Jingxing's main body was. Last time, because they were in two different universes, the cosmic tower could not achieve instant space teleportation. Now that the Azure Dragon world was already collapsing, there was naturally no such influence. The destruction of a small universe was magnificent, shocking, and unbelievable. Su Jingxing had never seen it before. For this, he did not leave quickly. Instead, after the passageway opened, he waited at the entrance and watched as the last existence of the Azure Dragon world collapsed and disappeared bit by bit. Then, collapsed small universe discovered. Extracting it would give the world card. Would you like to extract it? Yes. Buzz. His mind went blank for a moment. The moment he came back to his senses, Su Jingxing saw that the last point of the Azure Dragon world was about to disappear. Completely annihilated and exploded. The last step of the small universe was to explode. This was also the strongest and final glow released by a small universe. Therefore, Su Jingxing decisively flashed into the passageway. When the entrance disappeared, a large area of the void behind it became distorted. The passageway was disintegrating. Under the impact of the final explosion of the small universe, the passageway formed by instant space was also disintegrating. Ming, quickly disconnect. Su Jingxing shouted at Ming as soon as he stepped out. Yes. Ming's body disappeared, and the entire cosmic tower shook. After a while, the shaking slowly calmed and he regained his composure. Who? Exhaling, Su Jingxing lay on the ground of the fourth level. At the same time, he was feeling lingering fear and uncontrollable excitement. World card. On the eve of the destruction of the Azure Dragon world, he actually extracted a world card. Su Jingxing took out the card and held it in his hand to read the information. Soon, he learned of its ability. Su Jingxing stared and laughed out loud at this ability. Ha ha ha. World card, world card. As the name suggested, this was a heaven-defying card that could instantly give Su Jingxing an inner world. Compared to any of the cards he had extracted previously, its function was incredibly strong. This was because the inner world was a characteristic that a seventh realm demon emperors or those in the seeking realm of the divine martial arts system possessed. When breaking through from the meditation realm to the seeking realm, one needed to fuse the three laws of time, space, and life and death. On the foundation of the original grotto heaven, a world would develop in the body, or inner world for short. The path of progression for martial artists of the divine martial arts system was primordial spirit, soul platform, cloud ascension, life void, grotto heaven, meditation, seeking, and mysterious nether. Only by moving up step by step could one possess an inner world in the seeking realm. In the beginning, the inner world would be slowly evolved from soul platforms, domains, and grotto heavens. Now, a world card could allow Su Jingxing's primordial spirit to skip the four realms of cloud ascension, life void, grotto heaven, and meditation. It could instantly reach the sky in a single bound and step into the seeking realm. Of course, such a realm would be very illusory. He would have an inner world but no corresponding power of laws. The world card did not contain the power of laws. However, Su Jingxing had just gathered the three major laws of space, time, and life and death. With laws and an inner world, why would he worry about not being a match for seventh realm devil emperors and demon emperors? So, without any hesitation, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit decisively left the cosmic tower and went outside. It chose a mountain range and entered the depths of the mountain. It released his divine consciousness to scan its surroundings to make sure that no one would disturb it. Su Jingxing's primordial spirit took out the world card and condensed a soul platform. Although the inner world would be developed in the body, it relied on the soul platform. The soul platform was like a foundation. Without a foundation, the internal world could not be opened. Even if it was forcefully opened, it would not last long. As for Su Jingxing's essence soul, it was only in the third class, so it was not affected. As long as the inner world relied on the soul platform, one's class in the soul platform realm didn't matter. Even the first class of the soul platform realm was fine. Being in the third class of the soul platform realm was enough for Su Jingxing's primordial spirit. Whoosh! The world card was unlocked, and a ray of purple light instantly bloomed. It wrapped around Su Jingxing's primordial spirit and stood quietly in the center of the soul platform like an egg. This was an external manifestation. Inside, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit divine consciousness suddenly entered a chaotic void. In this void, purple light was circling around it. Then, it repelled the chaos in the center and a little glow appeared. The glow kept growing and expanding until it formed the sky and ground. At first, the sky and ground were illusory, blurry like a dream, and unreal. But slowly, the ground gradually became real and the sky extended infinitely. Until the world was completely formed and consolidated. However, there was no light in this world, it was pitch black. There was also no cold or warmth, water or fire. Because there were no law of yin-yang circulating. However, the overall structure of the inner world had been paved. The next step was to add the three major laws of time, space, and life and death to this dark world. Fusing the three major laws to drive the grotto heaven and transform it into an inner world was filled with difficulties. It would take at least 10,000 years. However, since there was already an inner world, it was much simpler to add the three major laws. Su Jingxing's primordial spirit did not spend too much time. In less than a month, it had fused the law of space into its inner world. Then, it spent a little more than a month to integrate the law of time. In less than 2 months, it integrated the law of life and death. From then on, the originally empty and dead inner world now had the power of law circulating. Although these three laws were still rather weak, as long as they began circulating, they could quickly integrate fully and become a part of the world. Su Jingxing's primordial spirit had also officially stepped into the seeking realm. However, its realm still did not possess the power of the world. To grasp the power of the world, it had to integrate the law of yin and yang. At this point, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit naturally wouldn't stop at this point. In one go, it took out the true sun crystals. The true sun crystal contained extreme yang Dao sentiment. By studying the mysteries within, one could comprehend the laws of extreme yang. Su Jingxing's primordial spirit had already comprehended the law of life and death and did not fear the scorching power of extreme yang. On the other hand, the time it would take to comprehend the extreme yang Dao sentiment would be extremely long. It was unknown how long it would take to do so in the outside world. Perhaps when the Yu nation, Zheng nation, Wei nation, and the other eastern continent countries had been unified and the people of Earth Star had developed to the interstellar era, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit would still have yet to comprehend the law of extreme yang. The passage of time was not to be trifled with. For this, the best way was to do it in the inner world. Just like how Su Jingxing, Nian Gur, Tua Haiquanfu, and the others spent tens of thousands of years in the Azure Dragon world, but it did not affect the flow of time in the outside world. With the inner world containing the law of time, which was also controlled by Su Jingxing's primordial spirit, there was no doubt that there was no need to worry about the time needed to comprehend the extreme Yang Dao sentiment. During this process, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit had to multitask again, even more deeply than before. Buzz. Buzz. It moved the law of time and adjusted the flow of time. Whoosh. The moment the true sun crystals touched the inner world, fiery red light bloomed in this pitch-black world and penetrated the darkness. Su Jingxing's primordial spirit divine consciousness connected to the crystals and seeped into them. Qi. In a few moments, its divine consciousness was destroyed. However, under the law of life and death, it was revived in the next second and connected to the extreme Yang Dao sentiment inside the true crystals again. Just as it began to comprehend it, its divine consciousness was destroyed again. It revived in seconds and continued to comprehend before being annihilated again. Resurrection, annihilation. Resurrection, annihilation. Just like that, the cycle repeated. As soon as it was destroyed, it was resurrected again. Moving between life and death, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit gained a deeper understanding of the law of life and death. The extreme Yang Dao sentiment finally entered the state for comprehension. Resurrecting after dying, resurrecting after dying again and again. At the beginning, death was head. Soon, the number of resurrections began to exceed the number of deaths. Again and again, again and again. After countless years, the extreme Yang Dao sentiment inside the true sun crystal were finally completely suppressed. Su Jingxing's primordial spirit divine consciousness was no longer affected at all. At this moment, as if they were telepathic, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit also comprehended the law of extreme yang. The extreme Yang Dao sentiment inside the true sun crystal were still surging, but Su Jingxing's primordial spirit had already gotten what it wanted. Instead of retreating from the inner world, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit carefully sensed the tyranny and strength of the law of extreme yang. After a long time, it reversed the law of extreme yang and comprehended the power of extreme yin. Of course, at the beginning, they were the Dao sentiment of extreme yang. Yin and yang were inverted, they were one to begin with. At this moment, in the inner world, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit had reversed extreme yang and was searching for extreme yin. It was unknown what the chances of success were and how long it would take. In any case, the law of time in the inner world were under its control. Su Jingxing's primordial spirit only understood the basic principle of reversing extreme yang. The chances of success were too low. However, no matter how small it was still an opportunity. In the inner world, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit continued to comprehend. Creating extreme yin from extreme yang. Time flew by. After an unknown period of time, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit suddenly felt half burning and half ice cold. Even Su Jingxing's main body was affected by this force. The law of yin and yang. After countless years, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit obtained another great law. In that case, he wouldn't be far from mastering the power of the world. It left the inner world and felt the sunlight outside. After resting for a moment, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit added the law of yin and yang to its inner world. Adding law midway and integrating them into the other laws of the inner world earlier would result in a certain level of rejection. Fortunately, Su Jingxing's essence soul did not comprehend all the four major laws very deeply, so the rejection was not obvious. The law of yin and yang quickly fused and were completely connected to the inner world. The moment the connection was completed, the four major laws exerted their strength at the same time and evolved automatically, vaguely producing an incomparably terrifying force. The power of the world. All true powerhouses in the seeking realm had grasped the power of the world. Now, it was the turn of Su Jingxing's primordial spirit. The power of the world born from the fusion of the four major laws of the inner world was what was powerful about the seeking realm. With this power, Su Jingxing would be qualified to compete with the seventh realm demon emperors whose will covered the entire continent of divine grace. Of course, the power of the world that Su Jingxing currently grasped was not very strong. If he really were to go head-on against a seventh realm demon emperor, he could not compare. He could hold it off for a while, but not defeat it, let alone kill it. The power of the world also needed to be tempered and slowly nurtured to continuously become stronger. At this point, it could not be done in the inner world. This was because the strengthening of the power of the world could not do without the circulation of the four major laws. Only by entering an independent small universe like the Azure Dragon world could one not fear the passage of time in the outside world. Su Jingxing thought for a moment and decided to take it slow. The passageway between the two worlds opened by the demonic artifact had been destroyed by him. For the time being, the demons would not be able to reopen the passageway. Su Jingxing still had time to slowly become stronger. As for the curly-haired woman, the middle-aged man, and the bearded old man who had agreed to hide in the cave, Su Jingxing had not forgotten them, but he was not in a hurry to return to the continent of divine grace either. A trip to there would consume many heavenly Tao crystals. The curly-haired woman and company had been hiding for several years. A few more years were nothing. When Su Jingxing felt that it was about time, he wouldn't need the demons to reopen the passageway and invade Earthstar. He would head to the continent of divine grace himself and fight the seventh realm demon emperor. Now, he had to continue to nurture his power of the world and repeatedly temper it to become stronger. However, at this moment, Su Jingxing suddenly had a thought. He looked in the direction of the Golden Sparrow Mountain Basin with a strange expression. Is there really someone who doesn't fear death? In the center of the Golden Sparrow Mountain Basin, the tall martial sage tower still stood tall on the ground, with rows of buildings scattered around it. After the martial sage tower became famous, martial artists from all over the U-Nation could not wait any longer and rushed to the Golden Sparrow Mountain Basin to build these. Of course, no one dared to build a house directly next to the martial sage tower, even if it was a wooden house. Under the arrangements of the garrison, the building closest to the martial sage tower was 100 meters away. As a result, other than the entrance of the martial sage tower, the other areas were surrounded by buildings. With the martial sage tower as the center, a large functional town was formed. To the common people, their biggest wish every day was to get a spot to enter the tower. They had no idea that martial sage Kong Xian had died in battle on the continent of divine grace. The cabinet would not allow the matter to be leaked either. The reason why the Nation was where it was today was because martial sage Kong had fought and conquered everything. That was why the citizens' confidence had always been high, suppressing all the other dynasties. If people knew that martial sage Kong had died in battle, it would be earth-shattering and the entire nation would be alarmed. Especially those who saw the martial sage tower with their own eyes, they might go crazy. It wasn't easy for them to get a chance to become stronger, but it was gone just like that. Not many people would be able to stand it. However, the martial sage tower was also strange. Martial sage Kong had already died in battle, yet it could still continue to operate. It could only be said that the martial sage tower was magical and a rare treasure. Other than the people who lived in the buildings around the martial sage tower, people came to visit every day. It was the same today. A few more convoys were driving steadily towards the martial sage tower from the entrance of the basin in the distance. The passengers were students of martial arts institutions. Everyone will be there soon. In a bus, a young female teacher smiled and pointed at the towering martial sage tower ahead. She introduced, "That's the martial sage tower. It's the holy land of martial arts left behind by martial sage Kong. It wasn't easy for our dean to fight for you guys to come here and comprehend the profound meaning of martial arts. I hope everyone cherishes it. If anyone can make a breakthrough after view it," the dean said. Boom! A loud bang suddenly sounded, interrupting the young female teacher's speech. The moving vehicle also braked instantly and stopped midway. As everyone on the bus cultivated martial arts so they did not fall to the ground, they were only a little shocked and in disbelief. Who is it? Who dares to cause trouble here? That's right. This is where the martial sage tower is. Aren't they afraid of angering martial sage Kong? Look, there's someone in the sky over there. Discussions broke out in the bus. All the students stuck their heads out of the windows and looked at the sky above the martial sage tower. 3 figures descended from the sky and bombarded the buildings on the ground like cannonballs. Boom boom boom. Loud bangs spread in all directions. Rows of buildings around the martial sage tower collapsed and turned into ruins. The prefecture army guarding the martial sage tower had just begun to resist when they were killed in batches. The students who saw this were stunned. Swoosh! Another figure descended from the sky. Luo Ao, how dare you! Dongfang Pochu's essence soul descended from the sky with a powerful aura and charged at the 3 figures. It's martial sage Dongfang. Who is Luo Ao? Does martial sage Dongfang know him? I think I've seen him somewhere. The martial sage of the Jingxing seems to be called Luo Ao. What? Exclamations filled the bus. Jingxing's martial sage, Luo Ao. Is the Jingxing's martial sage here to cause trouble in the Nation? How dare he? Someone said in disbelief, Luo Ao is too bold. Isn't he afraid that martial sage Kong will kill him? That's right. Martial sage Kong even defeated sword sage Pei. How dare a mere Luo Ao be so bold? Luo Ao might not be able to do it alone, but he brought 2 other people with him. 3 people might be enough. Bullsh *T. People like Luo Ao aren't even worthy of carrying martial sage Kong's shoes. It's useless no matter how many of them come. The bus was in an uproar. In the air. Dongfang Pochu's essence soul was already in a fight with the 3 martial sages led by Luo Ao. With the kingdom defending Jade Seal in hand, Dongfang Pochu relied on the power of the Nation's fate to barely tie with Luo Ao and company. However, as Luo Ao suddenly took out a broken sword that flickered with golden light and easily separated the light of the Nation's fate guided by the kingdom defending Jade Seal, the combat strength of Dongfang Pochu's essence soul immediately decreased and it was forced to retreat. What kind of divine weapon is this? Dongfang Pochu's essence soul wore an ugly expression as it stared fixedly at the broken sword in Luo Ao's hand. Ha ha ha. Luo Ao laughed out loud. You don't have to know too much about what kind of divine weapon it is. In any case, you won't get it. I came here today to take away the martial sage tower. This treasure has been left here for long enough. In the future, it's time for the other dynasties to enjoy its benefits. Dream on. Dongfang Pochu's essence soul sneered. You want to take away the martial sage tower? Impossible. Haha. Luo Ao was not angry. He smiled and said, why? You think you can stop me? Without the power of the U-Nation's fate, what ability do you have to restrain us? Don't tell me you're waiting for reinforcements, for Martial Sage Kong to help you. Swoosh. The expression of Dongfang Pochu's essence soul changed drastically. Luo Ao, that's enough. It gritted its teeth. Enough? The smile on Luo Ao's face grew wider. Not enough, far from enough. By the way, have you guys not released the news? Without waiting for Dongfang Pochu's reaction, he shouted, Martial Sage Kong has been dead for half a year. Doesn't the entire country know? Dead. Martial Sage Kong is dead. The world suddenly fell into dead silence. Be it the people who were affected by the attacks and screaming, the martial artists who had dodged far away, or the students from the martial arts academy who were still in the bus, everyone was stunned when they heard this. Martial Sage Kong is dead? No, this is impossible. How could Martial Sage Kong die? How could someone as powerful as him die? He lied to us. He must be lying to us. After a brief silence, everyone near and far shouted restlessly. Would Martial Sage Kong die? What a joke. Luo Ao, you really don't fear death. When Dongfang Po's essence soul heard the shouts around it, a plan suddenly formed in its mind. You actually dare to curse Martial Sage Kong. Just you wait, Martial Sage Kong will come knocking on your door soon. Hee, I'm so scared. Luo Ao glanced at the crowd on the ground and sneered. Do you think you can fool the entire country just by tricking them? I don't know what you're talking about. Dongfang Pochu's essence soul was indifferent. Martial Sage Kong is in seclusion now. I hope you won't hide when he comes out. Alright, I hope you'll still be as stubborn then. Luo Ao sneered coldly, I want to see how long your Martial Sage Kong will be in seclusion for. He naturally knew that he couldn't overturn the U-Nation with just one sentence. No one could conclude Kong Xian's fate with a comment, unless he really died in front of everyone. The reason why Luo Ao said this was just to plant a seed of doubt in the hearts of the people of U-Nation. Especially when he had seized the Martial Sage Tower. The Martial Sage Tower was left behind by Kong Xian. Now that it had been seized by him, if Kong Xian was still alive, would he not react? This was what Luo Ao wanted. He wanted to slowly crush the hopes of everyone in the U-Nation. Let's cut to the chase. I want the Martial Sage Tower. Luo Ao said loudly, Dongfang Pochu, if you don't want to die, you can continue to attack. Let's see if you can stop us alone. Dongfang Pochu's essence soul gritted its teeth and glanced at the other two people. The Wei Nation's Martial Sage and the Liang Nation's Martial Sage. There's no need to look at me like that. The Wei Nation's Martial Sage chuckled. Brother Luo is right. This Martial Sage Tower has been with you for long enough. It's the turn of the other dynasties now. Dongfang Pochu, if you choose to part with it, we might return the Martial Sage Tower to you in a few years. The Liang Nation's Martial Sage laughed strangely. In your dreams. Dongfang Pochu's essence soul growled, you want to seize the Martial Sage Tower? Over my dead body. Boom. The air exploded. Dongfang Pochu's essence soul held the kingdom defending jade seal and charged at Luo Ao again. Swoosh! Luo Ao swung the short sword in his hand and cut off the connection between Dongfang Pochu's essence soul and the fate of the Unation. The martial sage of Wei and Liang attacked Dongfang Pochu's essence soul from both sides. The four of them were closely engaged in the air again. It hadn't been long since Dongfang Pochu's essence soul advanced to the transcendent grade. Without the support of the Unation's fate, it quickly fell into a disadvantage and was chased by Luo Ao and company. However, while Dongfang Po's essence soul wanted to lure them away, Luo Ao and company did not chase far. They quickly returned and prepared to seize the martial sage tower. Seeing this, Dongfang Pochu's essence soul naturally returned to intercept them. Luo Ao shouted coldly and directly got the Wei Nation's martial sage and the Liang Nation's martial sage to surround and attack Dongfang Pochu's essence soul in the east while he descended from the sky above the martial sage tower. Good treasure, a really good treasure. Looking at the martial sage tower up close and sensing the unique fluctuations, Luo Ao's eyes flickered with surprise. If he didn't know that Kong Xian had died in another world with his master, Luo Ao wouldn't have dared to have any thoughts about such a treasure. Even Pei Donglai wasn't a match for martial sage Kong, let alone himself. Now that Kong Xian was dead, he had to obtain the martial sage tower no matter what. He had brought the Wei Nation's martial sage and the Liang Nation's martial sage together just in case. The fate of the Unation was so strong that Dongfang Pochu's essence soul, supported by the kingdom defending jade seal, was not something he could deal with alone. The plan was implemented as planned. Luo Ao easily descended to the martial sage tower and released his soul power to envelop the tower, preparing to take it away. However, what's going on? Suddenly, Luo Ao was shocked and sensed that something was wrong. That was, after attaching soul power to the martial sage tower, it would disappear completely, as if it had been devoured by the martial sage tower. This tower can also absorb soul power. Luo Ao refused to believe it and released his soul power again to envelop the martial sage tower. Just like before, all his soul power disappeared in an instant. It did not leak out and filled the air. It directly entered the martial sage tower. D****it. Luo Ao gritted his teeth, finding this difficult to accept. Since soul power could not envelop it, there was no need to even think about using mental power. The tower left behind by Kong Xian did not seem like a treasure, but a heretic item. Luo Ao's mind raced to think of a solution. In the end, he simply pounced over and held down the martial sage tower with both hands, trying to pull it out. The martial sage tower did not move at all. Luo Ao's strength was useless. Luo Ao was a little stunned. He could do nothing about the weight and mystery of the martial sage tower. Under such circumstances, he couldn't even move it, let alone subdue it. In the blood imprisonment tower, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit was also a little speechless. With the cosmic tower, Ming had acknowledged Su Jingxing as its master and put it under Su Jingxing's control. That was why he could indirectly control the cosmic tower. Unlike it, the blood imprisonment tower was Su Jingxing's domain, a treasure that he refined himself.